Welcome to North Metro TV's coverage of Local Decision 2018. I'm Rusty Ray, a producer and anchor with North Metro TV News, and we continue our discussions and debates for these local candidates in local races. And this evening, we're talking about Blaine City Council and the race for Ward 2 in that seat on council. We did open this up for both candidates to participate, but we did not hear back in time from Mike Burke. And so we do have his opponent in the race this year, and that is Jess Robertson. Thank you for being here to have a discussion about the race and about you and what brought you to this point. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it so much.
You got it. So we will keep to the format a little bit, and we will allow you just to make an opening statement. Just
Sure.
Tell us what you want to say to start with, and I'll give you the floor right away with that, and then we'll get to some questions.
Sure. Sounds great. Well, my name is Jess Robertson. I've been a Blaine resident for 20 years. My kids all go to school at Spring Lake Park. I run a family business in Ham Lake. I would say in probably the last 10 years, I've been pretty engaged in the community through the schools, through some local nonprofits. I served on the Chamber of Commerce Board for 7 years and chaired that board for a year. Also started a group called the Young Professionals in Minnesota. So I've been really engaged in the community in that front. This was just kind of a next step. This seat's been held for 20 years by the same individual. He's not running this year, so it was an open seat. So I really felt it was a great opportunity to give back to the community and really get involved on a higher level.
So is that what led you to seek an elected office on this level? Is kind of that progression and kind of want to try the next thing, or is there something more specific? Is there any kind of a drive that led you to do this?
Well, I guess there's a couple of things. You know, in the dawn and age of like social media, a lot of people like to go to social media with issues, and you can do that, and that's great, and that's a great forum for it. I don't want to be one of those people that has issues or complaints and says, "Oh, I'm going to go to social media and try to fix it." I want to be a part of that change. I want to affect change. Something specific. We had an issue in our neighborhood with road connectivity. There was a new development proposed south of our neighborhood. We live in a tiny kind of pocket neighborhood, 24 houses on about 70 some acres. It's kind of a secret little neighborhood nobody really knows about. So when the city came to us and said they wanted to connect our brand new neighbor, this neighborhood to ours, it didn't make sense. It's a 300 home neighborhood. So we kind of had some dealings with the city back and forth. And it was awkward, not for me so much because I had relationships with some of city staff and city council through the Chamber of Commerce. The neighbors were like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do? All hope is lost." And I'm like, it's not that hard in the sense that, city council is approachable, city staff is approachable. And we ended up working and compromising with City Hall to try to come up with a way that both neighborhoods could benefit. So through neighborhood forums and going to city council meetings and planning commission meetings, we kind of worked through all this. At the end of the day, I think the takeaway really was that government shouldn't be hard. Local government shouldn't be hard. Getting in touch with city officials and working through these types of issues shouldn't be as challenging as it seemed to be in our in particular case. So that was kind of part of it too. I really do want to help people, and I really want people to feel that their local government is approachable.
Thinking about that, but then kind of thinking of the city as a whole, a growing city with all kinds of challenges and pressures and things that are changing, dynamics. What do you think is the biggest single issue facing the city of Blaine?
The biggest single issue, I would say, hearing from residents is traffic infrastructure. That's massively huge for residents in all pockets of Ward 2 and throughout the city, really. Highway 65 being the major one. There's a lot of frustrations with 109th and Highway 65, and even outside of that, a lot of the side streets can get congested. A lot of the neighborhoods now become shortcuts for people that are trying to avoid those main thoroughways. So that's definitely the top frustration with residents currently.
Yeah, you hear it everywhere. They're talking about it to candidates and to the media and in polls, and I'm sure it's coming from all places.
Absolutely. With the city growing as it has, it unfortunately wasn't given the attention that it probably needed years ago as we were greenlighting all this residential development and commercial development. And so now here we are with this huge issue, and now we have to come up with a way to fix it.
Something that's been decided in, I think, about 13 different communities statewide, and this is kind of going somewhere else with this, so bear with me. 13 different communities have voted to change the ordinance in their municipality to raise the age for buying tobacco products to 21 instead of the 18 that it is in many other places. 13 cities have done that across Minnesota, not just here in the metro. Would you vote for that if it came up to Blaine City Council and you were on council?
That is a really interesting question that I have not been asked before, and I haven't even really thought about that. Okay, so explain to me what other cities are doing so that I understand and I don't incorrectly answer.
As 21 to buy tobacco is what they've settled on.
Okay.
And through whether it's a public health debate or whether in some places a public safety debate,
Right.
whether it's leading to maybe some crime or maybe some nefarious activity, and all obviously with a health bent and for young people and tobacco. But it's been a wide-ranging conversation in places like Edina that passed it, and some other communities close inner ring, but also in other communities, smaller communities in the state. I think they mostly see it as a public health issue. Someone brings it to council, probably with a public health bent to it, and say, we got to make it 21 to buy tobacco products in our stores in this city.
So that's a really tough one. Number one, I guess I would be curious to see the cities that have pushed this ordinance through, what the results have been for local business, right? Because they're the ones that are going to take the hardest hit. Off the top of my head, and I don't mean to be coy by all means, but if you can vote at 18, why can't you buy a pack of cigarettes at 18? And by no way am I promoting smoking in any way, shape, or form. I know for my kids, for instance, being in high school, the huge issue right now is vaping. So are they going to regulate that too? I mean, where does it stop with the regulation? It's unfortunate, and that's a really, really tough one. It's someone's personal choice to do what they want to do. Do I think that local government should regulate that? Probably not. Especially, like I said, I'd be curious to see if it's affected, businesses in those other cities, if it's affected them adversely.
That's a good question. Yeah,
that's a super tough question.
Yeah, there's a lot to take in, and you wouldn't have to make the decision that quickly on council, thankfully. But and you would have to take in a lot of input, like you said, from the business, and from folks who work with young people and things like that. But it has been a topic, and it's a nationwide thing as well, too.
Yeah, it is, and it has been for a long time. It's a really good question, and now out of curiosity, I'm sure I'll go home and I'll Google all of it and look into it, because I am curious. I am curious about it for sure. But there are things like you hear, certain cities like banning extra large sodas.
Right.
Okay, if people want to drink soda, they're going to drink soda. So I mean, where do you draw the line? Because you greenlight something like this that is definitely a public health issue, then where does it stop?
Yeah, you want to stay away from activism in some cases as a governing body in some cases, right? Okay, I can understand that. All right, we'll get away from that specific. I just want to see how that would go,
I appreciate it. It totally threw me off. I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
How would you define, in a conversation, either as you're campaigning or even explaining to maybe a family member, how would you define the job of city council member?
This is another really good question, and this is something that I get asked quite a bit while I'm out talking with residents and talking with voters. In my opinion, the role of a city council person is not just limited to those 2 meetings every month and a couple of workshops. For me, it goes beyond that. I used the example at somebody's door a couple weeks ago. I'm here, I'm knocking on your door, I'm a mom. My kids aren't here, that doesn't mean I'm not a mom. Just like at city council, just because I'm not sitting in the city council chambers those 2 times every month doesn't mean I'm any less of a city council person. And I, again, kind of reflecting back to the issue we talked about with our own neighborhood in particular, I want people to feel, I want residents to know and believe that their local officials are approachable. And if they think that that's only twice a month, that doesn't help combat issues, that doesn't help ease angst, that doesn't help, keep the lines of communication open with residents if they don't feel that their city council person is available outside of those, 2 meetings. As an example, I had somebody ask me this too while I was door knocking. How serious do you take this commitment, and how do we know that you're going to be committed to it? When I served in the Chamber of Commerce Board, that was a 7-year term that I served. In those 7 years, I think I maybe missed 2 city council meetings, 2 chamber board meetings, and I think I called into maybe 1 or 2. And on top of just meetings, I mean, it's important to me when you're representing an organization, when you're representing a city, I think it's important to be engaged outside of that. So it's something I take very seriously, and it's something that I think as a whole goes outside of just those 2 meetings every month.
Part of serving public office, part of running for public office is to think about the future. Obviously, there's needs pressing, and there's things that come up routinely through the course of business. But looking in the future, 10 to 15 years, let's say, what do you hope for? What do you see that you would like to, what would you like to see, I should say, for the city of Blaine?
Yeah, so it sounds like from the latest projections, they're talking about 85,000 people, residents in the city of Blaine, and right now we're about 65,000. So think about Blaine, 20 years from now, 10, 15, 20 years from now with 20,000 more people, and what does that look like? Number one, I would hope to see some of these infrastructure issues taken care of. I know they've talked about overpasses. Putting in overpasses specifically on 109th is 65 is really going to change just the look of that in particular area with those businesses on the corner that are probably going to have to be, purchased and relocated or moved entirely. One thing too that I think that I would like to see more of in the next, 10 to 20 years is really a push for economic development. With the projected growth at 85,000 people, that we could have an amazing workforce here. I mean, we already have some amazing employers located in the city, and I think really shining a spotlight on Blaine being easily accessible to downtown Minneapolis and having this great community base, really pushing that economic development as well.
Okay. And if elected to City Council, what would you like to accomplish? If it's one thing maybe, or if it's a few things, is there something specific, or are there specific things that you, as a City Council member representing Ward 2, would like to accomplish?
I think one thing that's important to me personally, outside of just, specific roles of City Council, is really to engage residents. I want residents to feel like they have not only an advocate in me as their City Council person, but that they have a voice in what that future looks like. I've had, like I said, multiple conversations, and there's a lot of people that are kind of disheartened with the communication style of, City Hall and residents. And I want to fix that. I want people to have faith and trust in their elected officials, because I think when they have that collaborative voice, the future is unlimited.
Okay, and now it's a chance for you to kind of give a closing statement, just a kind of a final whatever you would like to say about running, or about the seat, or about the city of Blaine. The floor is yours.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Well, Blaine is an amazing city. It's a great place to live, it's a great place to work, and it's a great place to do business. And my goal in trying to be your next City Council person is to really bring that fresh perspective and bring that change into City Council, and to really give the local government back to the hands of the residents. I want them to be engaged. I want them to be involved. I will be their voice, and I will be their advocate. And so I ask for their vote November 6th.
All right, Jess Robertson, thank you for coming by.
Thank you so much for having me.
Discussing this with us.
Yes, it was nice meeting you too. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, and thank you very much. And we will continue these discussions. We will continue debates and profiles and these conversations with the candidates here as part of our coverage on North Metro TV of Local Decision. You can watch these discussions and debates ongoing between now and Election Day, November 6th, on North Metro TV, and of course on the Blaine City Channel in this case. Jess Robertson is running for Blaine City Council, Ward 2. She's running against Mike Burke. You can read more about that race, and you can watch these discussions and all of our coverage of Local Decision at northmetrotv.com. And don't miss North Metro TV News' live coverage on election night. That's November 6th, starting at 8 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in for this discussion. I'm Rusty Ray for North Metro TV News.